खालसा वाहिगुरू जी की फतेह। सत श्री अकाल। सत श्री अकाल।
Hello, good evening. Thank you for being here today. We would like to everyone to have a seat, please, and just find the best seat that you can. And if you're out there, yep. Thank you so much. You want to introduce?
ਸਿਮਰਿਆ ਘਰ ਨਾਮ ਦਾਵੇ ਤਾਏ ਸਭ ਥਾਈ ਹੋਏ ਸਹਾਇ ਦਸਵੇਂ ਪਿਤਾ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਸ੍ਰੀ ਗੁਰੂ ਗੋਬਿੰਦ ਸਿੰਘ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਜੀ ਸਭ ਥਾਈ ਹੋਣਾ ਜੀ ਸਹਾਇ। ਦਸਾਂ ਪਾਤਸ਼ਾਹੀਆਂ ਦੀ ਜੋਤ ਸ੍ਰੀ ਗੁਰੂ ਗ੍ਰੰਥ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਜੀ ਕੇ ਪਾਠ ਦਰਸ਼ਨ ਦੀਦਾਰ ਦਾ ਧਿਆਨ ਧਰ ਕੇ ਬੋਲੋ ਜੀ। ਹੈ ਨਿਮਾਣਿਆਂ ਦੇ ਮਾਣ ਨਿਤਾਣਿਆਂ ਦੇ ਤਾੜ ਨਿਓਟਿਆਂ ਦੀ ਓਟ। ਧੰਨ ਧੰਨ ਸ੍ਰੀ ਗੁਰੂ ਨਾਨਕ ਦੇਵ ਜੀ ਮਹਾਰਾਜ। ਧੰਨ ਧੰਨ ਸ੍ਰੀ ਗੁਰੂ ਗ੍ਰੰਥ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਜੀ ਮਹਾਰਾਜ। ਆਪ ਜੀ ਦੇ ਹੁਕਮ ਅੰਦਰ 2012 5 ਅਗਸਤ ਵਾਲੇ ਦਿਨ ਇਸ ਸਥਾਨ 'ਤੇ ਜੋ ਭਾਣਾ ਵਰਤਿਆ ਉਸ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਆਪ ਜੀ ਦੇ ਪਿਆਰੇ ਗੁਰੂ ਘਰ ਦੇ ਮੁੱਖ ਸੇਵਾਦਾਰ ਸਰਦਾਰ ਸਤਵੰਤ ਸਿੰਘ ਜੀ ਕਾਲੀਕਾ ਸਾਹਿਬ, ਸਰਦਾਰ ਸੁਵੇਗ ਸਿੰਘ ਜੀ ਖੱਟੜਾ, ਬੀਬੀ ਪਰਮਜੀਤ ਕੌਰ ਜੀ, ਬਾਬਾ ਪੰਜਾਬ ਸਿੰਘ ਜੀ, ਭਾਈ ਪ੍ਰਕਾਸ਼ ਸਿੰਘ ਜੀ, ਭਾਈ ਸੀਤਾ ਸਿੰਘ ਜੀ ਅਤੇ ਭਾਈ ਰਣਜੀਤ ਸਿੰਘ ਜੀ ਆਪ ਜੀ ਨੂੰ ਪਿਆਰੇ ਹੋ ਗਏ ਹਨ। ਸਤਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ 10ਵੀਂ ਸਾਲਗਿਰਾ ਮਨਾਉਂਦਿਆਂ ਹੋਇਆਂ ਸਮਾਗਮ ਦੀ ਆਰੰਭਤਾ ਲਈ ਆਪ ਜੀ ਦੇ ਚਰਨਾਂ ਕਮਲਾਂ ਵਿੱਚ ਅਰਦਾਸ ਬੇਨਤੀ ਹੈ। ਸਤਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਵਿਛੜੀ ਹੋਈ ਰੂਹਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਸ਼ਾਂਤੀ, ਪਿੱਛੇ ਸਰਬਤ ਨੂੰ ਭਾਣਾ ਮੰਨਣ ਦਾ ਬਲ ਬਖਸ਼ਣਾ ਅਤੇ ਸਾਰਿਆਂ ਨੂੰ ਚੜ੍ਹਦੀਆਂ ਕਲਾਂ ਵਿੱਚ ਰੱਖਣਾ। ਸਮਾਗਮ ਦੇ ਇਹ ਗੁਰਮੁਖ ਪਿਆਰੇ ਮੇਲੋ ਜਿਨ੍ਹਾਂ ਮਿਲਿਆ ਤੇਰਾ ਨਾਮ ਚਿੱਤੇ ਆਵੇ, ਨਾਨਕ ਨਾਮ ਚੜ੍ਹਦੀ ਕਲਾ ਤੇਰੇ ਪਹਾੜੇ। ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕਾ ਖਾਲਸਾ, ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕੀ ਫਤਿਹ। ਬੋਲੇ ਸੋ ਨਿਹਾਲ। ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕਾ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕੀ ਫਤਿਹ।
Right. Sat Shri Akal, Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh. Thank you so much for being here tonight. First and foremost, I want to recognize and acknowledge and as I look around and I see family. And I see friends. And I see people that we have worked with over the past 10 years. Since August 5th, 2012, when we lost the lives of 7 souls and we tried to rebuild as a community. Many of the questions that we have been taking over the past 3 to 4 days have centered around both tragedy and triumph. How can your community be so hopeful in times of tragedy and challenge? And we tell them that we stay true to our faith. We remain open when people are trying to close us off. This is what Sikh will have 4 doors, one to the north, the south, and the west. And those 4 doors do not close because we are scared or fearful. That is the time that we must stay vigilant, but yet even more open, even more intentional with our open. It was at a Sikh gurdwara. It was committed by an affiliated domestic terrorist, white supremacist. Sikh means to learn. A gurdwara is a place of teaching. What we showed the world, what we showed each other, is what people can learn from us. And in that same vein of learning and teaching, we also learned how to have a deeper sense of Sikhi and what that means to truly embody what that is. So people ask that question because they're genuinely as they're going through their particulars, how do you remain hopeful in times of challenge? And I look around to everybody that's gathered here today. We don't do this alone. We not only have a sangat that is inside of our gurdwara, but we have an entire sangat that's been the United States of America and the world. This tragedy was heard not just in the United States, but all over the world. It resonated with every single Sikh. And that had an exponential effect. So as Brian Murphy says, 7 lives plus multiplied by 7, multiplied by 7, multiplied by 7, creates this ripple effect of mutuality, love, inclusion, and connectedness. We all know where we were on August 5th, 2012. All of us. That's the resonating story that I remember where I was when that happened. And I said, yeah, I know you do. I know exactly where I was too. And I wish you today, Murph and I were talking a little bit about this. Steve Scafidi and I were talking a little bit about this. But in each one of our lives, if it's a life that is worth living, we should all have 2 birthdays. My birthday is on August 3rd. That's the day that my mom gave birth to me, 1976. My second birthday is the one that I share with all of you, because all of you found that second birthday is marked not by birth from our mother or a maternal figure. It is marked by the purpose that we take on and the reason that we found out why we are alive and what we're going to do about it. That second birthday is one of purpose. And that second birthday is why we're all here today. Your second birthday was August 5th, 2012. And so I thank you, and we celebrate that birthday together. And I welcome to the stage our opening interfaith prayer. I'd like to welcome Bishop Paul Erickson from the Greater Milwaukee Synod, ELCA.
Alfred or some other tragedy, whether it be in Milwaukee or Pittsburgh or Uvalde or Ukraine or Kenosha, the email chains start, the phone messages start, and we come together to speak, to pray, to mourn, and to bear witness to our common humanity and our common desire for a world of peace. For me, what gives me hope is you. All of you, especially our siblings here in the Sikh community, your resilience, your strength, Your enduring commitment to the overwhelming power of love gives me hope and has taught all of us in Milwaukee and around the world. And even though there are times when I grow tired of coming together with my siblings in the interfaith community for yet another prayer vigil after another tragic event, and sometimes I even wonder if our prayers actually have a concrete impact in our broken world, I cannot stop coming with you. And when I hear the words and the prayers and the yearnings of your hearts, my hope is restored, my faith is renewed, and my commitment to roll up my sleeves and do the hard and holy work ahead of us of combating hate and rebuilding love together. So thank you for your living witness to the power of faith and hope and love, and let us pray. Holy God, creator of us all, we come to you as a broken people, worn down by the forces of hatred, violence, and fear. But we also come to you as a hopeful people, trusting that your love is the strongest force in the universe, and that your love can gather together the broken pieces of our lives and create something stronger and more beautiful than any of us could make by ourselves. So keep us united as we work together. Keep us united as we love together. Keep us united as we hope together. Amen.
I have to begin by saying that in the past decade or so, so many of us in one way or another have been hit by tragedy, so many of our communities, and it's a horrible, unfortunate thing, but I do want to say that the response of the Sikh community has been inspiring and educational, and I think we can all learn a lot from the kind of values that are being shared. This evening, we are gathered to remember and honor the lives of those individuals who were killed in this sacred, peaceful place of worship 10 years ago. Their murder was motivated by hate and ignorance, yet we cannot let hate prevail. Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. said, "Hate cannot drive out hate, only love can do that." And so if we want to defeat this scourge of hate, we're obliged to share as much love for each other and for all people as we can. It is from the love we feel for others that we offer our prayers to heal this community and this world. Part of healing is keeping alive the memories of those we have lost. Whether we knew them personally or not, those we remember were part of our family, the family of humanity. This evening we unite in our sense of shared pain and hopefully unite in our efforts to move this world to a better, safer place, one in which we respect differences while realizing that we are more alike than different. We are all one family. Jewish tradition teaches us that it was for this reason that humanity was first created as one person, to teach that anyone who destroys a life is considered by Scripture to have destroyed the entire world, and anyone who saves a life is as if he has saved the entire world. At this time, we honor those who risk their lives to help save the lives of others. May they inspire us to act with the same courage they displayed in order to help save this entire world. This evening, we pray and gather in unity. May we leave here committed to never be silent when we hear or see hate or bigotry displayed. May we commit to lives motivated by being actively anti-racist and anti-hate. May we be inspired to use love as a tool to cure the ills of the world. And may the memories of all the victims of such heinous acts inspire us to always work to repair the world. The Hebrew poet Hannah Senesh once wrote, "There are stars that illumine our skies long after they no longer exist. And there are people who add light to our darkest nights long after they have gone from this world." Those who we remember this evening Zichronam Livracha, may their good names always be a blessing and an inspiration.
So I am a Christian priest in the Episcopal Church, but I come before you today as the chair of the Interfaith Conference of Greater Milwaukee, an organization that represents over 28 different faith traditions in the greater Milwaukee area. Our membership includes communities from multiple strains of the Sikh, Islamic, Jewish, Christian, Buddhist, instead, you courageously opened them for Langar, and people flooded in to demonstrate solidarity. The Sikh community of Greater Milwaukee has shown us again and again what a belief in our essential human oneness looks like, and that witness has led to a general strengthening of ties among our interfaith community. So I'm here to thank you for your gift to us.
Ananda, bliss absolute, thou art the indweller of all beings. Grant us an understanding, heart, equal vision, balanced mind, faith, devotion, and wisdom. Grant us inner spiritual strength to resist temptations and to control the mind. Free us from egoism, lust, greed, hatred, anger, and jealousy. Fill our hearts with divine virtues. Let us behold thee in all these names and forms. Let us serve thee in all these names and forms. Let us ever remember thee. Let us ever sing thy glories. Let thy name be ever on our lips. Let us abide in thee forever. May we be open-minded and work together in harmony. May we speak in one voice. Let our minds be in agreement. May our prayers and purpose be one and the same. May we all be of one mind. May our aspirations be harmonious. This prayer is dedicated for such unity. May there be well-being in all. May there be peace in all. May there be fulfillment in all. May there be auspiciousness in all. May all beings be happy. May all beings be free from illness. May all beings see what is auspicious. May no being suffer. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om peace, peace, peace. Thank you very much.
Good afternoon, everyone. Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh. My name is Raghuvinder Singh. My father
Today, I have the honor of introducing our 6 speakers, and these 6 speakers are sons, daughters, grandchildren of the 7 individuals that we have lost. Over the past 10 years, I've seen this community come together in many different ways. I've seen these young children grow in different ways, carry out their family legacies in different ways. I've seen them become nurses. I've seen them become different positions in the defense industry. I've seen them carry out in Chardikla in a way that Sikhism, as a Sikh, I would expect them to carry it out. Today, our first speaker is going to be Kamal Kaur. She is the daughter of Sita Singh. And Kamal, I welcome you to the stage. Okay, I'm going to actually introduce everybody at the same time. And then we have Kamal Saini. He'll be our second speaker. He's the son of Bibi Paramjit Kaur. And then we have Sandeep Katra, who is the granddaughter of Suveg Singh Khattra. And then we have Paramjit Kaur who is the daughter of Bhai Prakash Singh. And then we have Gurvinder Singh. He's the son of Bhai Ranjit Singh. So I'm gonna have Kamal Kaur come up to the stage.
Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh. My name is Kamal Kaur. I was 11 years old when my dad was killed in 2012. I am now 21 years old and not enough has changed in this country. Every day innocent people are from happening. There are so many 11-year-old girls that grow up without a father now, just like I did. Every day in this country is a shooting that constantly reminds me of the pain that I had to go through every day. Every day I have to grieve. Every day I'm hurting. I am so grateful for everyone that's here, but I received so many messages today being like, I'm here for you, I'm thinking of you today. And I just want everyone to know that I don't want you to think of me just today. I want you to think of me every single day, because I'm hurting every single day. Every single day I'm reminded of the tragedy that happened. Every single day I get to learn that another family is going through what I had to go through. Every single day there are kids who have to grow up fatherless, motherless. And I just wish that we would bring more attention to this matter, that it's about time that we need to fix things. It's about time that we need to start doing enough, because we're not doing enough. Whatever we're doing is not working. And I just want everyone to know that I'm the same 11-year-old girl the 364 other days of the year, and it's just not today that I'm hurting. And I want you to think about this every single day and play your role in preventing from these tragedies to be happening, so we don't have another 11-year heartbroken girl that has to go through this, and another family that also has to go through every single day. So let's start doing enough. Thank you.
All right, and 10 years later, here we are. So, and that's all thanks to Brian. If I didn't meet Brian after the shooting, he didn't inspire me. I was talking to somebody earlier, actually, I think it was a news reporter, said, what inspired you to do it? Well, the sheer fact that an individual who showed up to a Sikh temple knew nothing about the Sikh temple, and Brian's the first one to admit that, right? So, and the fact that he ran towards chaos that day, not knowing these people, he didn't have to be here, he didn't have to do what he did, but he did. So it really inspired me, and I thought I'm going to follow his footsteps. So over the last 10 years, Brian's been like a father figure to me, a brother figure to me. He inspired me to join the Marine Corps. Right after I came back, I said, Brian, what do I do now? And he said, get a job. Explicit words. And that's exactly what I did. So thank you, Brian, for guiding me to being here today and everything you've done for the community so far. And once again, thank you, everyone, for being here tonight.
Hi, Hi everyone, my name is Sandeep Katra. I'm the granddaughter of Suveg Singh. Today I want to talk a little bit about my Bapuji. That's what I call them. He was one of the 7 victims of the shooting. My Bapuji, when I describe him, he was very determined, strong-willed, passionate about religion. Individually, my Bapuji came to gurdwara every single day. He would walk from my parents' home every single day, no matter what the weather was. It could be snowy, rainy, it could be 100 degrees, he was here. He actually stopped one of his medications because it was allowing him not to, it was impacting his ability to walk to gurdwara daily. This is how committed he was to seva. When I reflect on the shooting, I'm filled with many different emotions, and amongst them are still anger and hurt. Why anger? My Bapuji was taken away from us, not at God's will, but because of an individual's will. An individual that felt entitled that he had the right to go into a place of worship to vengefully kill the worshipers. How has this become a normality in America today? And 10 years ago. Because of this, I could not have my Bapuji at my wedding. He could not meet my husband. He couldn't meet my kids. Nor could he attend his grandson's wedding. People are so easy these days to give advice on healing, saying time will heal all. But sometimes time doesn't. It's taken me 10 years. I'm yet still not healed. It's hard to forgive someone that has taken something so special from you, someone that has taken a piece of your heart. I think it's also important to acknowledge one that was lost. Everyone that was lost, we all feel the hurt till this day. No life was greater than the other. They were all equal to us. And then some positive things that came about after the shooting were that the shooting led to cultural and religious awareness. As a community, we could have closed, but we did not. We opened up. We explained what our culture was. We explained what our religion was, so people were more aware of us. And this allowed the young generation to be comfortable into wearing turbans, whereas that could have caused them to come back and cut their hair, but they did not. It allowed us to wear our attire in public events. The community, Oak Creek community, has come together to support one another. I'd like to extend my thank you to all that have come to celebrate, along with our sadness of the 7 that were lost. Thank you.
Hello everyone, my name is Paramjit Kaur Saini. 10 years ago, my world changed forever. I lost my father, Prakash Singh. I literally just met over here in Ranjit uncle, and he was telling me how he used to love him and everything, and I started crying because I couldn't take it. I just can't remember, I don't want to remember it, honestly, the day that happened, because I was here and my dad saved my life. Now I'm 21, going for a travel nurse. Life has been changed a lot. It's been different, but I just wish he was here with me today. I just wish he was proud of me, and I don't want to do anything bad behind his back. I just hope he's listening to me today. I just thank you, everyone, for being here. Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh.
Hello guys, my name is Gurvinder Singh. I'm the son of Ranjit Singh. Okay. I just wrote something which it took me about 10 years to put it together, I finally had time and courage to actually write about this. So I still remember that day when I got off that plane, It was I never saw what was coming to me. I thought I was gonna actually walk into a funeral home at the age of 14, and I never did before that. Walking up to my dad was the hardest thing. You can't even imagine, to be honest. Looking at him it was good, couple more minutes and he'll be gone. They slided my dad away from me it was just a box. And a couple more seconds, guess what? He's gone. I can't call him no more. I can't be like, Dad, are you gonna come home? Every time I would call my dad, I've never seen my dad in my life. Every time I would call him, the question would be, Dad, tusi kare kado auna? When are you coming home? And he would always tell me like, oh yeah, I'll come now, I'll come now. But that now never came. I don't know. I just feel like they slided my dad away from me like it was a box. And just a couple seconds, he became ashes. And those ashes, they poured it into Ganga River, and guess what? Daddy's gone. You can't call him no more. You can't, there's nothing you could do about it. Why? Because he's gone. That smoke came out of funeral home. That's it. There's nothing I could have done about it. I was about 7 months old when my dad decided to come to the United States, actually, to give us a bright future. But I never got that dad thing, you know, where I have had a lot of friends where they talk about, "Bire mainu mere dad di call aundy hai, can I go answer?" I never had that chance where like I could have told people, "Bro, I gotta call my dad. I gotta do this. I gotta do that." I never had that. There are days like I feel like I have nothing basically. I go through a lot of things where people are all about their dad, but how could I be? Tell me that. Like I never got a minute I spent with my dad. I was pretty little, like 7 months old kid. He doesn't know anything. Like what's happening around him. Like I never got a chance to feel my dad, to be honest. And I wish I could. Like even till today, if I could bring those 15 minutes back, where I just stared at my dad for like those 15 minutes until they slided him away, I would love those 15 minutes every day of my life here. And I really thank you. Like I really appreciate you being here after 10 years. I never thought I was gonna see this many people standing right in front of me. But really, thank you guys for being here.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, I already spoke about Brian, so everything that I had written down, I said in my speech. So without further ado, give you Lieutenant Brian Murphy.
Wariguru ji ki khalsa, Wariguru ji ki fateh. Where's Prakash's daughter? Your dad is super proud of you. Always. All of you who were just up here, your parents are more proud of you now than ever before. I know. I know this to be true. I'm gonna tell you a story, and this is true. 100 yards from here, laying under the car, he runs out of ammo and he's getting ready to shoot me more. My sister Elaine, who is my best friend, died in March of 2012. And as I'm laying under the car, I hear my sister Elaine, clear as a bell, "Brian, you have to move now." And I roll out from under the car and I start moving, and that's what saved my life. I know they're there. We just can't see them and we can't appreciate them, but they're there. There's a ripple, and Pardeep and I were talking about this, and you know, I'm sitting on the edge and I'm looking at the faces of the 7 individuals who lost their lives simply because they didn't do what this other person did. But what happened to me was, while I'm laying in the hospital and you have this near-death experience, you come to realize the ripple effect. And what that ripple is everything you say and everything you do affects someone else's life. You never see it, you don't hear it, but I know that it does. But we had talked about your father, Baba Punjab Singh, and I can be honest that laying in the hospital and feeling bad, and all the years since I still get injections, and the Wisconsin weather doesn't help my hands at all. But whenever I feel badly, I think of Baba. And we had talked when I was in Jersey and how Baba lived in Chardikala. And I thought to myself, how can I, who can get up and walk and talk, ever feel badly when a man who was trapped in his own body is living in Chardikala? Do we get that? We live so much of our lives worrying about petty little things that mean absolutely to nothing to anybody, and we're letting 3 to 5 seconds of our day wreck our whole day, when we should do the exact opposite and think, in the next 3 to 5 seconds, I'm going to do something for someone else. That's the ripple effect. The 7 people who died have 7 family members who have 7 family members, and it goes on and on and on. And I think all of us who are here today, if we didn't take the lessons that we should have learned and pass it on to live our lives to the fullest, to be nice to one another, to look out for one another. You are your brother's keeper. Let's not lose sight of that. We owe one another. And while I agree, I absolutely agree with you that why is this going on? No one knows the answer, but I know I can only control me. And if I can control me, where when I feel anger, I change it and I move it to love, the more I can do that, the better off it's going to be, because we all know when someone does something nice for us, our next thing is to do something nice for someone else. So that's where the ripple effect takes place. The last piece of my little puzzle here is, I hate the word hero, and people who know me know that, because there were so many heroes inside the temple that day. But my hero is Mr. Kaleka, because without what he did, without his actions, without him delaying the shooter, things would have turned worse. And I think every day, and when I go out and I talk, I speak specific to a true warrior has nothing to do with age, has nothing to do with sex. It has to do with heart and mind. And if you're doing the right things and you're doing it for the right reasons, nothing will ever stop you, and nothing should ever stop you. I appreciate everybody being here. Thank you for your time, and thank you to you guys. And I mean that sincerely. If you're looking around and thinking, why? And I'm looking at Papa's great-grandson, and I'm thinking, that little dude running up the aisle, that should be your why. Every day, look at that smile, and you tell me I shouldn't be doing something better to the next person, because that little dude deserves a better world than what we got going on right now. You guys take care. God bless.
Thank you, Brian Murphy. Our next speaker is our current mayor, Mayor Dan. I'm not going to try to say your last name because I'll probably butcher it. So, Mayor Dan of Oak Creek.
Good afternoon, everybody. I am Mayor Dan Bukevich, for the record, and I am the current mayor of the city of Oak Creek. And I'm proud to serve it, and more importantly, I'm really proud to have the Sikh community right here in Oak Creek. I want to share with you just a couple of things. I always go very unscripted. I normally don't go off with any notes, but I was recently on vacation. I took a vacation to Alaska, and I got a very different phone call from an individual in London doing a story on the 10-year remembrance of the Sikh community and the things that went on here 10 years ago today. And he gave me a number of questions, and I was communicating from him, and that was 3 hours behind us, half a continent away. And as he gave me these questions and said, can you get back to me by Wednesday, and I had to figure out all the time changes and everything like that, I had a chance to look at these questions, and I was not the mayor when this went down. Mayor Steve Scafidi was here, and Chief Edwards at the time, and they were handling all the heavy stuff. They were up here doing this. I was an alderman at the time. So I got to see it from a different perspective as well. And he asked me some questions regarding my thoughts on what I seen and what I experienced. And, you know, one of the first things I really wanted to express was really my sincere condolences to the victims and their families. That was number one. And also the Sikh community, not just here in Oak Creek, but throughout the United States and worldwide. Because this just wasn't a Sikh event that happened in Oak Creek. This was a Sikh event that rippled out. It started in Oak Creek like a pebble in a pond and rippled out across the state, across the nation, and went worldwide. This was one of the first hate crimes in a place of worship, and unfortunately it set a bad tone for what we've been experiencing the last few years, and we're hoping for that to change. But he asked me some questions. And he felt the community, not just Oak Creek, but the Sikh in general, if justice had been served. And I had some time to think about this, and I wrote him back, and I really said, you know, I don't think it's for me to define that for anyone, and I don't think it was ever about justice, because it's really not what I've learned as I've come here as a guest. And now when I come here, I feel completely accepted as a friend of the Sikh community. And, you know, I told him, I said, I don't really believe it's justice, because the Sikh religion doesn't look for justice. It looks for forgiveness, acceptance, and love. And that's exactly how they handled the incident when it happened. And it set the tone for our administration here in Oak Creek, as Mayor Steve handled it, and Chief Edwards, and everybody went through what they did, and as our elected officials came together and our faith communities came together to support, it was led by the Sikh community's belief in how to handle this. And it really set the justice in my mind, if there's such a thing as justice, that the exact thing that the shooter intended to do, which was to rip apart a community and weaken it, went completely opposite. The Sikh community became stronger, not just in Oak Creek, but worldwide. The community, the city of Oak Creek, looked on it as an attack on its neighbors and friends. And the Sikh community became tighter within Oak Creek. Everything he intended to do got the opposite reaction. We lost 7 individuals that day. But those 7 individual lives that were lost touched lives worldwide. And as I was writing this, I started to realize this, and I thought, holy cow, I don't exactly know why that destiny was for these 7 people to be lost the way they are. And here we are 10 years later, and motorcycle clubs coming from across the country to honor these folks. Those were lives touched. And the more lives we touch, the more numbers we create that stand up and say no. Last night, Interfaith put on a seminar, or if you want to call it a seminar, on preventing hate crimes in places of worship, or hate crimes in general. There is strength in numbers. Pardeep looked around that room yesterday, and it was diverse. As I look around this tent, it's diverse. And he said, that's what I want my America to look like. I agree with him 100%. That's what I want my America to look like. That's what I want my Oak Creek to look like. The more we understand, the better off we are. Another thing that was born of this tragedy, and we do the Remembrance every year, is an event here in Oak Creek we call Cafe. Cafe stands for Culture, Art, Food, and Entertainment. And it really started the first week of August to coincide with the Remembrance. And this culture, art, food, entertainment event we put on brings together different cultures. We do it first week of October. And it's put on at Drexeltown Square, and we all get in a circle. And we invite the community to come in and experience, and everybody gets a chance to explain their culture, their food, their art, their entertainment. In the Sikhs' case, they do turban tying, and they explain to the community why they wear it. They tie turbans. They invite people to wear them to experience a little bit of that. Every time we experience a little bit of that, we start to understand a little more. The more we understand, the more we'll stand together. And trust me, there's more of us that want this than the people that want to hate. So if we stick together in numbers, we can overtake this. It's my sure belief that the next generation will continue this. As Oak Creek has changed, the mayor has changed, our council has changed, our police chiefs has changed, our fire chiefs has changed, and our personnel has changed. The one thing that hasn't changed is our commitment to the Sikh community. We will always stand with you. So if it's not me, it will be the next generation up here moving us forward. You've just seen some young folks speaking to you from the Sikh Temple. It will be your job to carry this on as others age out, and you'll have to carry on the tradition. But I know this will never have been forgotten because we are one. We are a community of one, and you are welcome with us. He also asked me, and I'm going to wrap this up because the governor's probably got a place to be, and he's next. Growing in Oak Creek. And I said they certainly are. They are because they're one of us. They're always welcome here. They're accepted. And they're a huge part of this community and always have been. And what that man tried to do that day was unseat them and take them out of this community. And everything that he was shooting, that he was looking to accomplish, went completely backwards. And here we sit together, stronger, many different faiths, politicians, African American, white, Hispanic, Indian, all one today. So please carry out the beliefs that are being taught here every day. Every time I come here, I'm a little bit humbled, and I walk out feeling I could do a little better as a person. We all try to do the right thing, but the Sikh really set the example of how to live the right way. So please, when you leave today, take a little of that with you. Again, my shared condolences to the entire community. I wish you a great weekend. There are many events going on. This is open to the public, so please return today. And if you go out, spread the word on what you've learned today and what you've experienced, and encourage people to come and do the remembrance with us this weekend. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Mayor, and thank you so much to your commitment to the Sikh community, your commitment to diversity, and you are right. Our diversity is what makes us strong. It is what makes Oak Creek beautiful. And again, if you look around, this is what America looks like and should look like, and we should embrace one another for who we are and what we stand for. Shortly after the shooting happened, the nation mourned with us. Flags were half-staffed. I went home and we had a flag in front of the house, a U.S. flag. And we put it down, and we, in solidarity with America, we put it at half-staff. Across the street, there's a little locally owned shop called Ray's. Ray's also put their flag to half-staff. And as the days went, as we did our rites, those flags stayed at half-staff. Until one day, I looked at Ray's, and it had been almost a week, and Ray's still had their flag at half-staff. And so I walked into Ray's, and I was like, you guys still have your flags at half-staff? And the guy behind the counter said, Pardeep, I knew your dad. And until you take your flags up, we're not going to take our flags up. So I went home, raised the flag. And so did you to have. I want to thank the governor of Wisconsin, Tony Evers, for that same solidarity, because today he also ordered the flags to be half-staffed. Welcome to the stage, Governor.
Well, thanks so much, Pardeep. It is an evening of sadness and remembrance, and I thank you for the privilege of inviting me to join you for tonight's ceremony's vigil as we honor the memory of 7 individuals whose lives were taken in the hateful attack on the Sikh Temple of Wisconsin 10 years ago today. First, I want to extend my sincerest appreciation to the Gurdwara leadership of the leadership committee of the Sikh Temple of Wisconsin, and everybody from the Sikh Coalition, the Sikh American Legal Defense and Education Fund, and the Interfaith Conference of Greater Milwaukee for their efforts to support this weekend's events. And I also want to recognize Attorney General Call, who is with us tonight, and of course, Congress of the 7 beloved family members, friends, and trusted leaders who were killed in an act of senseless gun violence, including Baba Punjab Singh, who 2020 as a result of the injuries from his attack. While it's been 10 years, the grief and loss that was felt across our state and nation remain really fresh in our hearts and minds. Today we hold close each person who was taken from us, and we pray for healing and peace for all those that we have lost and miss them every day. We're also here tonight to recognize Lieutenant Brian Murphy, who we heard from, Officer Sam Lenda, and all the first responders and the worshipers who put themselves in harm's way 10 years ago today to save the lives of others. Truth be told, there in many ways words are insufficient. Bravery, selflessness, extraordinary. Thank you, even a thank you, frankly, feels like it falls far, far too short to all those heroes. So there really aren't words. In fact, except to say on behalf of a grateful community and a grateful state, we see you, we honor you, and you are so cherished. This vigil and the events taking place throughout the weekend are incredibly important. Only together can we heal. Only together can we prevent another senseless tragedy like this one from happening ever again. Especially as acts of racism, xenophobia, hate, and racialized violence continue to upend our world today, and this weekend are an opportunity for us to come together as a community of all different faiths, beliefs, and backgrounds to not only honor the memories of the victims, but to say unequivocally that hate has no place here in the state of Wisconsin. It's a chance to renew our commitment to that optimism. We must remain committed to condemning bigotry in all its forms, to addressing gun violence in our communities, and to building the sort of future we want to see for our state. A future where everyone is safe at home, in their neighborhood, at the store, in the classroom, and in their place of worship, period. For years, this community has worked hard to heal, and for years, the Oak Creek Sangat has been at the center of that recovery, absolutely standing against hate, discrimination, violence, and encouraging others to celebrate the diversity that makes our communities and our state great. Before I close today, I'd like to present the proclamation, if the families could come up here, to commemorating this tragic anniversary and honoring each one of the 7 community members lost, the first responders who have courageously ran towards danger to save lives, and the entire Sikh community for your resilience in the face of hate and diversity. The proclamation reads in part, and I'll use this instead of this. The letters are way too small. The proclamation reads in part, quote, "The legacies of those 7 individuals that were tragically lost will live on forever as they're reminded by their families and community with love and honored through continued acts of service, interfaith collaboration, and civic engagement." Quote, "While Oak Creek remains a painful reminder of the work that still must be done to protect all communities in the United States against the rising threat of targeted violence in the face of tragedy and the continued shared hope that we can work together to make for a better tomorrow." So thank you, and thank you for having me this evening, and thank the family. Thank you.
Thank you, Governor. Next, I would like to call Dr. Satwant Singh Kaleka, the current chairman of Sikh Temple of Wisconsin.
Vaika Khalsa, Vaheguru Ki Fateh. Good evening. On behalf of the congregation and management of the Sikh Temple of Wisconsin and the entire Sikh community of Wisconsin, it's a pleasure to extend a warm and heartfelt welcome to Honorable Tony Evers, Governor of our great state of Wisconsin. We are honored by his presence. It's very kind of you to find time from your busy schedule and come and join us in remembering 7 lives lost on this premises 10 years ago to the day. I also want to express appreciation for the proclamation you have issued honoring 7 lives lost to hate crime. This proclamation means a lot to victims' families and the entire Sikh community. Honorable Tony Evers, Governor, thank you for coming. Now, it's my pleasure to introduce to you Mr. James Santale, former United States Attorney for the Eastern District of Wisconsin. He's a gentleman, a dear friend, and wise counsel of the Sikh Temple of Wisconsin. He has contributed to 7 Now I will invite Mr. James Santelli to come and say a few words. Thank you, everybody. Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh.
Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh. For some of us knowingly, and for others quite unwittingly, we are tonight, this day, invoking and living one of the principal 18th century teachings of Gobind Singh, the 10th and the last human guru of the Sikh faith. Beyond his creation of a new order for both belief and action, he called it the Khalsa, the Punjabi word for pure in service and in love. Beyond that, Gobind Singh also proclaimed the spiritual and the transcendent unity of all men and women, boys and girls. His admonition to embrace and to inhabit the universal brotherhood and sisterhood of humanity is recorded in the Guru Granth Sahib, the holy scripture of Sikhism, in this way. As out of a single fire millions of sparks arise in separation, but come together again when they fall back into the fire. As from a heap of dust, grains of earth sweep up and fill the air, and filling it, fall back into a heap of dust. As out of a single stream, countless waves rise up, and being water again, fall back in the stream. Fire, dust, air, and water, all fitting images for what happened here a decade ago, and for what we today do in this place, in our lives, in our time, reminding us and calling us ever to know, in the words of the artist prayer of the Sikh faith, Sarbat Dabala, seeking the welfare of all. We revel in a common humanity, and the blessings of each of us are like sparks of fire, bits of dust, gusts of air, and waves of water. These blessings are shared together in communion, in fellowship, in our glorious diversity, and in our God-given individuality. Satwant Kaleka, Paramjit Kaur, Prakash Singh, Sita Singh, Ranjit Singh, Suveg Singh, Punjab Singh, they knew all of that. Each of them brought animation and life to all of that, even in sacrificing their own lives to those transcendent beliefs, knowing that their presence is with us always. Together in life and in death, worship for all faiths in every part of our nation, in all lands on earth. We wish desperately, profoundly, that our 6 brothers and 1 sister were with us this day, celebrating their faith as they did throughout their lives, imbuing the recitations of the artist's prayer, Sarbat Dabala, with fervent anticipation and with the abundant possibility of what is to come. Their voices, their prayers were silenced in what is now among 4 of the most prominent faith-related civil rights, human rights tragedies of our contemporary American experience. And yet, to their children and their grandchildren, to their communities, to their friends, and especially to their families, I say to you this day, their deaths were not in vain. Their sacrifices have meaning, and their departures are not void of significance. Their martyrdoms are real. Because they died, our nation's local, state, and federal law enforcement officers now measure and record hate crimes with a precision that promotes safety and security and well-being for all of us. Because they died, our places of adult and youth learning and education and growth in nearly half the states of this union are now increasingly effectively defining, describing, embracing, and telling true and complete stories of this great world religion. That is happening because of movements forward right here in 2022 in Wisconsin through the Office of the Superintendent of Public Instruction, engaged with teachers of our state. And right here in Oak Creek, down the street at the Oak Creek Public Library, now the site of the largest public collection of materials of Sikh studies in our nation. Because they died. Because they died. Employers and landlords and military leaders and healthcare providers and teachers and bankers now have greater commitments to ensuring that Sikhs and people of all faiths have access to and opportunities for achieving the dreams of lives well lived. Because they died. Young people and old people and people in middle age of all educational, economic, familial, and societal settings know more about the meanings and the significance of the kesh, or uncut hair, the kanga, the womb, the kara, the iron bracelet, and the other articles of faith of our sisters and our brothers, not merely tolerating those physical symbols of spirituality, but affirmatively embracing them, along with the like reflections and signs of religion, in the workplace, in schools, in travel, in venues of commerce, and places of leisure. Because they died. The ugly voices of hate and the terrible acts of humanity. In Wisconsin, in every state of our union, in every civilized country on this planet, are now rightly targeted for condemnation and pursued by responsible, enlightened people, both within government and without, until the words and deeds of disaffection and separation, of hatred and anger, are vanquished and relegated to the dung heaps of human history. Because they died. We are gathered here together in community and in places like this across the globe to remember and to mourn them, but also to recommission in 2022, 10 years later, our own professional and personal lives in ways and the trappings of those ways that promote understanding and fellowship and joinder and affiliation and communication and blessings. Sarbat Dalala on all of us. Because they died, I am a better person. I know more. I understand more. I care more. I feel more. And I understand more completely about what it means to be a part of the lives of other women and other men. I share more. I reach out more. And a world of friends, colleagues, partners, sisters, and brothers I did not know and whose company I did not share 11 years ago today, that world is now open and new and resurrected and alive for me. And I suspect, I know, that I am not alone in that transformative experience, all because they died. Gobind Singh was right. The fire, the dust, the air, and the water, lifted up and brought together again this day and always by Satwant, Prakash, Sita, Ranjit, Suveg, Punjab, and Paramjit. Those elements of earth are binding and they are eternal. We honor and we celebrate them all together now and in the restful, pensive quiet of our hearts and minds each day of our lives. True to that commission, one of the great poets in English literature, Alfred Lord Tennyson, took a page from the Psalms of the Gurus to record this. Though much is taken, much abides. And though we are not now that strength which in old days moved heaven and earth, that which we are. One equal temper of heroic hearts, made weak by time and fate, but strong in will to strive, to seek, to find, and never to yield. Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh.
There are a lot of have stood taller than James Santel. He just recited Guru Gobind. And he spoke to you about all of the policies, all of the change that has been made over the past 10 years. Hearing the list, you can understand how much work it took just to till. People here have been working for a very, very long time, inspired by those 7 lives, inspired to never have that happen again. I'm proud of the work that we all continue to do, and we all must commit to do. As you saw all of the family's representatives, you saw many young people. Some of those young people were only 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Today, they're growing up to be adults. Oftentimes within this immigrant journey, the people that come before us and they have to make a living. This is not just about Sikhs and Punjabis, newcomers. This was as old as America is. The first people that would come and make a living. They would try to make a house. They would try to make some money. The second generation comes and they make a difference. So this is about this next generation and the difference that they're going to make. And sometimes when we are stuck in our own personal pain in our till, sometimes we don't see the difference that is being made right underneath our roof. Introduce. She was 6 years old at the time. Today, she's a beautiful 16-year-old, about to be 17. No title is bigger than dad. So I want to introduce my daughter. Amherst, come save your dad up here.
Paramjit Kaur Saini, Satwant Singh Kaleka, Prakash Singh, Sita Singh, Ranjit Singh, Suveg Singh, Baba Punjab Singh. Our story starts Sunday morning, August 5th, 2012, Oak Creek Sikh Temple. On the bright sunny day, one man, one gun, stole these 7 lives from a place of worship. He took away someone's child, someone's mother, someone's father, someone's husband, someone's wife. He took away our dada. Wade Michael Page was responsible for the fact that my brothers only have a picture to meet him with. Wade Michael Page is responsible for the deadliest shooting in a place of worship at the time. Wade Michael Page, 1971 to 2012, Army veteran, neo-Nazi, monster, a ticking time bomb of rage. From American patriot to American terrorist with trauma beyond their brain's boundaries, fighting war after war, this time the racial holy war. A pseudo-religion for the white cause is a description for it. I wish I could express how angry I am that you took the easy way out. I wish more than anything that you would suffer the consequences and live with the guilt for years to come. This I cannot forgive. I wish you could have seen your failure, for you did not break us, but united us. I do forgive you, though. You are not a monster. You are just in pain, and I wish somebody would have told you. Your anger was fueled with a gun instead. You are hurt, so you hurt people. For I am not your enemy, you are. Thank you.
For I am not your enemy, you are. I was so proud the first time that I heard Amherst recite that. I didn't know how much she was taking in. And it takes me back of just all of the work that she has done over the years to heal herself. So we are thankful for our future generations. This is definitely about reflecting on the past 10 years, but this is also about being committed to the next 10. I want to welcome up to the stage those that are also committed to the next 10 years and helping our communities grow and prosper. I want to welcome to the stage Melissa Rogers, Special Assistant to the President and Director of Faith-Based and Neighborhood Partners. Please help me welcome Melissa. I also want to welcome to the stage Erica Mordingsue, Deputy Assistant to the President and Asian American and Pacific Islander Senior Liaison. Welcome, Erica.
Good evening. Thank you for the honor of the welcome to join this space with you today. It's with great humility that I present to you a statement by President Joe Biden marking 10 years since the attack on the Sikh Temple in Oak Creek, Wisconsin. When generations of Sikh Americans in Oak Creek, Wisconsin finally constructed their own place of worship after years of renting local halls, it was a sacred place of their own and a connection shared with the broader community. That sense of peace and belonging was shattered on the morning of August 5th, 2012, when a white supremacist wielding a semi-automatic handgun arrived at the gurdwara and began shooting. The gunman murdered 6 people and wounded 4 that day, as well as another victim who survived his wounds only to succumb to them years later. Jill and I know that days like today bring back the pain like it happened yesterday, and we mourn with the victims' families, the survivors, and the community devastated by this heinous act. The Oak Creek murders were tragically attacks on our nation's houses of worship have only become more common over the past decade. It is up to all of us to deny this hate safe harbor. No one should fear for their life when they bow their head in prayer or go about their lives in America. Oak Creek has shown us the way. After the attack, the Sikh community returned to their gurdwara and insisted on cleaning it themselves. The son of one of the victims became the first Sikh in American history to testify before Congress, successfully calling for the federal government to track hate crimes against Sikhs and other minority groups. Every year, the congregation now hosts an annual memorial run to honor the victims, and the event bears the word Shardi Kala, meaning eternal optimism. Fueled by that spirit of eternal optimism, we must continue to take steps now to reduce gun violence and keep our fellow Americans safe. We must do more to protect places of worship and defeat domestic terrorism, hate in all its forms, including the poison of white supremacy. We must ban assault weapons used in many mass shootings at houses of worship and other sites across the country, as well as high magazine capacity magazines. To stand in defense of religious freedom, we must all stand together to ban the weapons that terrorize congregations around our country.
Good evening. I want to say on behalf of Erica and myself and our other colleagues that are here from the Biden-Harris administration how deeply grateful we are to be with you here tonight. It's my honor to read a letter now from our Vice President, Kamala Harris. Dear Sikh Temple of Wisconsin, today we remember the heinous act of violence that occurred in your community, and we honor the 7 Sikh community members who lost their lives and those who were critically injured just 10 years ago. On this day of solemn remembrance, we acknowledge your pain and recognize that much more work remains to be done to protect our communities. Today is a day not only for reflection, but for action. On this 10th anniversary, let us recommit to doing all we can to ensure all Americans can live free from violence, discrimination, and fear. Our nation mourns the loss of your loved ones. Your family and friends are in my thoughts and prayers. Sincerely, Kamala Harris. Let me close with 2 additional thoughts. To the families, to your loved ones, thank you. I was so moved by your words. Your strength and your courage are terribly inspiring. And I want to promise you, we will remember you. We will remember your words every day. You know, President Biden often says that our country's greatest strength is and always has been our diversity. And Pardeep was talking about last night, others have said it today. Wow, it's amazing to stand here and see this community. So deeply inspiring to see the diversity that is represented. What a beautiful sight, what a treasure. We are diverse. We are also united. We won't let hate win. We will stand up for each other, and we will work together to ensure that every single person can practice their faith and live their lives in the United States of America without fear. You have our profound thanks, Sikh Temple and Oak Creek, for leading the way. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Melissa. Thank you so much, Erica. On behalf of the Sikh Sangat at our gurdwara, our Sikh Sangat across the United States, we thank you. We thank the White House. Please send our love, our appreciation, our sincere gratitude to the President. I'd like to welcome to the stage Bishop Jerome, the Archdiocese of Milwaukee and the Roman Catholic Church. I'd like to welcome to the stage Reverend Rayron Gumbel, Buddhist Peace Fellowship of Milwaukee, Reverend Walter Lanier of Micah Religious Leaders Chair and Pastor at Progressive Baptist, and Janan Najib, the President of the Milwaukee Muslim Women's Coalition.
Resignation is not the response of people of faith when confronted with evil. Instead, there is a resolution to witness to the confident, a saint which reached across lines of separation, called us to recognize the human spirit of those of faith. And I would like to close with his prayer, the prayer of St. Francis of Assisi. Lord, make me an instrument of your peace. Where there is hatred, let me sow love. Where there is injury, pardon. Where there is doubt, faith. Where there is despair, hope. Where there is darkness, light. Where there is sadness, joy. O divine Master, grant that I may not so much seek to be consoled as to console, to be understood as to understand, to be loved as to love. For it is in giving that we receive, it is in pardoning that we are pardoned, and it is in dying that we are born to eternal life. My brothers and sisters, we make this prayer through the Lord who calls us to be one. Amen.
With admiration for the Sikh community who did not give in to hate when the unthinkable happened, I bow my head. Thinking of the grief that has been endured for all these years since that terrible incident. Chardi Kala, relentless optimism, guides the Sikhs' actions of service and compassion. Because the only way to world peace is nonviolence and faith in one's God. If all people followed the Sikhs' mindset, the one that was kinder, friendlier, and this has to be all our aspiration. May penetrating light dispel the darkness of ignorance. May all beings be peaceful. May all beings be safe. May all beings be happy. May all beings awaken to the light of their true nature. May all beings be free. Please join me in a moment of silence.
I bring you all and bring us all greetings of peace and joy and community. My prayers to the family, to the next generation, and thank you for your words and for your strength and for your commitment. There is hope in you all. You represent hope for us all. I want to read from Dr. Howard Thurman. Howard Thurman was a theologian and he was a teacher to the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King. Two writings. One is called Open Unto Me, but I'm going to change it and make it Open Unto Us. Open unto us, light for our darkness. Open unto us, courage for our fear. Open to us, hope for our despair. Open unto us, peace for our turmoil. Open unto us joy for our sorrow.
Open unto us strength for our weakness. Open unto us wisdom for our confusion. Open unto us forgiveness for our sin. Open unto us love for our hates. Open unto us thyself, God, for ourself. I just want to add before I read a second reading from Howard Thurman that we have to come together sooner. We have to build sooner. I remember some years ago being at a vigil when a young child was shot and killed, and looking out across the crowd and saying, well, our region, our Milwaukee, our Oak Creek will come together, but only at times of tragedy. And we have to come together sooner. It can not only be tragedy that unites us, but nonetheless thankful that we're united now and in prayer for those who are grieving. The second reading from Howard Thurman says, life goes on. It says, during these turbulent times, and I'm sure this is like 30, 40, 56 years old, but relevant in this moment. During these turbulent times, we must remind ourselves we must not shrink from the knowledge of the evilness of evil. Over and over, we must know that the real target of evil is not the destruction of the body, the reduction to rubble of cities. The real target of evil is to corrupt the spirit of man and woman and to give the soul the contagion of inner disintegration. The very citadel of man is captured and laid to waste. Therefore, the evil in the world around us must not be allowed to move from without to within. This would be to be overcome by evil, to drink in the beauty that is within reach, to clothe one's life with the simple deeds of kindness, to keep alive a sensitiveness to the movement of the Spirit of God, in the quietness of the human heart, and in the workings of the human mind. This is, as always, the ultimate answer to the great deception. Thankful and grateful to this community. For living it, let's continue to draw more closely together and continue to move forward and let love triumph. God bless you, and amen.
Bismillah. I begin with the Muslim greeting of peace to all of you. Assalamu alaikum. Before I get into my remarks, I want to just kind of lighten up this somber atmosphere. Pardeep is a very good friend of mine, and I said, Pardeep, you put me last. He said, Janan, the best is for last. I said, actually, people will be snoozing and they'll wake up refreshed and they'll think it was the best. So I just want to make sure you all are awake. I'm actually very honored to join this esteemed panel of leaders and to offer the Muslim reflection and prayer for this 10th year Remembrance Vigil. I think all of us were deeply moved, particularly by the youth and the children in this community. I want you to know you are the legacy of your parents. And you will continue to be that legacy, not only for your parents, but for this community, this city, and for the world at large. We are so proud of all of you. We continue to stand in solidarity and in support of all of our Sikh brothers and sisters, not only because, obviously, the immense pain that was and continues to be inflicted upon all of you, but because we, as Muslims, also know this type of hatred, because this hatred has not differentiated between Sikhs and Muslims. We were asked to talk about reviving hope. As communities of faith, hope is the most beautiful choice that we have, because hope is inextricably linked to belief in an Almighty, a creator that is far greater than ourselves. And we know that the opposite of hope is despair. And despair is non-existent in the dictionary of the faithful. In the Holy Quran, the Muslim scripture, God says in quick repetition, certainly with every difficulty, there will be hope and relief. Certainly, with every difficulty, there will be hope and relief. That hope and relief may not bring back our loved ones. It may not bring back what you have lost. Many times that hope and relief comes as a renewed understanding of Almighty God and our purpose in this universe. It comes in the form of an inner strength that you didn't even know existed within you. It may come in the form of a loving community that rallies around you in a renewed effort to bring love, compassion, and justice to this world. There will be trials and tribulations in life. No one will avoid them, both those that we bring upon ourselves and those that are unjustly imposed upon us by others. But they are not meant to paralyze us, but rather to mobilize us to use that experience to bring good to the world. And we saw that in action 10 years ago, and we see that in action today so beautifully by our Sikh brothers and sisters. In other verses of the Quran, God says, "Did you think we created you for nothing and that you will not return back to us? We will certainly test you with elements of fear and hunger, loss of wealth, lives, and fruits of your toil. But give glad tidings to those who persevere and maintain hope." In another verse, truly, it is in the remembrance of God that hearts find hope and solace. Hope, let's be very clear though. Hope is not passive. It is not indifferent, nor is it unconcerned. Hope is not quiet. Hope is restless. It is a call to action, but it is guided by honesty, justice, and love. Can we commit tonight to rise up together, to reject the hatreds and polarization that is gripping our country and our world? Can we commit to upholding the dignity of every human being? Say yes. In the name of God, the source of all mercy, the dispenser, for wise leaders who uphold honesty, equity, compassion, and justice. We pray for strength, courage, and wisdom, the determination to act instead of just complain.
And quite honestly, it's an overwhelming responsibility. As I see all of you sitting here, the outpouring of love and support for the Sikh community, it warms our heart. And I thank you for your solidarity and for being here today. I would like to thank all the government officials and dignitaries who have joined us here today.
you turn this one on? Hello. So I just want to introduce by Ranjit Singh and the Jatha from the Sikh Temple of Wisconsin. They're going to play kirtan. Before we do that, I want to also just give just a little bit of instructions. As
ਆਪਣਾ ਪਰਿਵਾਰ ਆਪਣੇ ਬੱਚੇ ਛੋਟੀ ਉਮਰ ਵਿੱਚ ਛੱਡਦੇ ਹੋਇਆਂ ਇਸ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਦਾ ਆਪਣਾ ਜੀਵਨ ਸਮਰਪਿਤ ਕਰਕੇ ਗਏ। ਆਪ ਜੀ ਸਾਰੇ ਭਲੀ ਭਾਂਤ ਜਾਣਦੇ ਹੋ। ਉਹਨਾਂ ਗੁਰਮੁਖਾਂ ਪਿਆਰਿਆਂ ਨੂੰ ਅੱਜ ਆਪਾਂ ਯਾਦ ਕਰ ਰਹੇ ਹਾਂ। ਸਤਿਗੁਰ ਦੇ ਚਰਨਾਂ ਵਿੱਚ ਅਰਦਾਸ ਬੇਨਤੀ ਜੋਦੜੀ ਕਰੀਏ। ਗੁਰੂ ਪਾਤਸ਼ਾਹ ਰਹਿਮਤ ਕਰਨ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਵਿਛੜੀਆਂ ਹੋਈਆਂ ਰੂਹਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਸदैव ਆਪਣੇ ਚਰਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਨਿਵਾਸ। ਉਹ ਪਰਿਵਾਰ ਸਾਰੇ ਪਰਿਵਾਰਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਸਤਿਗੁਰੂ ਸदैव ਆਪਣਾ ਭਾਣਾ ਮੰਨਣ ਦਾ ਬਲ ਹਿੰਮਤ ਸਤਿਗੁਰੂ ਸਦਾ ਚੜ੍ਹਦੇ ਕਲਾ ਬਖਸ਼ਿਸ਼ ਕਰਨ। ਐਸੀ ਅਰਦਾਸ ਬੇਨਤੀ ਸਤਿਗੁਰ ਦੇ ਚਰਨਾਂ ਵਿੱਚ ਕਰਨੀ ਹੈ। ਬਾਬਾ ਕਬੀਰ ਜੀ ਦਾ ਪਾਵਨ ਸ਼ਬਦ ਅਵਲ ਅੱਲਾਹ ਨੂਰ ਪਾਇਆ ਕੁਦਰਤ ਕੇ ਸਭ ਬੰਦੇ ਏਕ ਨੂਰ ਤੇ ਸਭ ਜਗ ਉਪਜਿਆ ਕੌਣ ਭਲੇ ਕੋ ਮੰਦੇ। ਇਹ ਪਾਵਨ ਸ਼ਬਦ ਸਾਰੇ ਮਿਲ ਕਰਕੇ ਬੜੇ ਪਿਆਰ ਨਾਲ ਸਾਰੇ ਸਰਵਣ ਕਰੀਏ। ਆਓ ਸਾਰੇ ਕਰੋ ਕਿਰਪਾ ਜੀ। सगल बनस्पत मैं बैसंतर सगल बनस्पत में बैसंतर सगल दूध में किया ऊंच नीच में है जोत समणी कट कट माधो ज्यों राम रखे त्यों रहिए रे भाई, ज्यों राम रखे त्यों रहिए रे भाई, हर की महिमा कुछ कथन न जाए। कुदरत के सब बंदे कुदरत के सब बंदे, कुदरत के सब बंदे, कुदरत के सब बंदे, एक नूर ते सब जग उपजया। एक नूर से सब जग उपजया, कौन भले को मंदे, अवल अल्लाह नूर पाया, अवल अल्लाह नूर पाया। कुदरत के सब बंदे, कुदरत के सब बंदे, एक नूर पे सब जग उपजया। अवल अल्लाह नूर पाया, अवल अल्लाह नूर पाया। लोग परम न भूलो भाई, परम न भूलो भाई, परम न भूलो भाई, लोग परम न भूलो भाई, परम न भूलो भाई। खालक खलक खलक में खालक, पूर्ण रहो सब ठाई, खालक खलक खल रहो सब ठाई, एक नूर ते सब जग उपजया। एक नूर ते सब जग उपजया, कौन भले को मंदे, अवल अल्लाह नूर पाया, अवल अल्लाह
माटी एक अनेक पात कर साजी साजन हारे, साजी साजन हारे। ये माटी एक अनेक पात कर साजी साजन हारे। ना कच पोच माटी के पांडे, ना कच पोच कुम्हारे। ना कच पोच माटी के पांडे, ना कच पोच कुम्हारे। एक नूर ते सब जग उपजया, एक नूर ते सब जग उपजया। कौन भले को मंदे, अवल अल्लाह नूर पाया, अवल अल्लाह नूर पाया। सब में सच्चाई को सो, तिसका किया सब किछ होई, तिसका किया सब कुछ होई। सब में सच्चाई को सोई, तिसका किया सब कुछ होई। हुक्म पछान सोए को जान, बंदा कहिए सोई। हुक्म पछान सोए को जान, बंदा कहिए सोई। एक नूर ते सब जग उपजया, एक नूर ते सब जग उपजया। कौन भले को मंदे, अवल अल्लाह नूर पाया, अवल अल्लाह नूर पाया। अल्लाह अलख न जाई लखया, गुर गुड़ दीना मीठा, गुड़ दीना मीठा। अल्लाह अलख न जाई लखया, गुर गुड़ दीना मीठा, गुड़ दीना मीठा। कहे कबीर मेरी शंका ना, सर्ब निरंजन डिठा, सर्ब निरंतर डिठा। कहे कबीर मेरी शंका न, सर्ब निरंजन डिठा, सर्ब निरंजन डिठा। एक नूर ते सब जग उपजया, एक नूर ते सब जग उपजया। कौन भले को मंदे, अवल अल्लाह नूर पाया, अवल अल्लाह नूर पाया। वाहेगुरु 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 वाहेगुरु। कुदरत के सब बंदे, कुदरत के सब बंदे। एक नूर ते सब जग उपजया, एक नूर ते सब जग उपजया। कौन भले को मंदे, अवल अल्लाह, अवल अल्लाह नूर पाया, अवल
एक नूर ते सब जग उपजया कौन भले को मंदे कौन भले को मंदे वाहिगुरु जी का खालसा वाहिगुरु जी की फतेह।
The next show is going to be played by Mohinder Singh from Chicago. And then after that, we'll conclude with taking the candles to the Nishan Sahib, which is the flagpole right in front of the gurdwara.
Just one other real quick announcement is after we take the candles to the Nishan Sahib, after that, let's go enjoy langar together. We'll take this to the Nishan Sahib after the part, okay?
ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕਾ ਖਾਲਸਾ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕੀ ਫਤਿਹ। ਗੁਰੂ ਪਿਆਰੀ ਸਾਧ ਸੰਗਤ ਜੀ, we are gathered here in the memory of those who lost their lives 10 years ago. I'm going to sing the Shabad from Sri Guru Granth Sahib Ji on page 189. Message in Shabad, actually message in the whole Gurbani, Sri Guru Granth Sahib Ji, is for the whole humanity, not just for the Sikhs. You will realize the Shabad Bhai Sahib Ji recited and the Shabad I'm going to recite. The lines of this Shabad are Bin Gobind na dise koi. I don't see none other than the Lord. Because Gurbani says, Sabe khat Ram bole, Rama bole, Ram bina ko bole re. In every heart, the God is speaking. God is within us. Our soul is the part of God. Without the God, who is speaking? You know, if all the humanity reaches at this state, there will be no hate, there will be no discrimination, there will be no criminal acts like this. The Shabad begins from Ekasasyon Janka Man Rata. This is introspection. The whose mind is imbued with the love of Lord, Visri Tisa Parai Tata. He forget to feel jealous, hate, discrimination of others. I'm not going to describe the whole Shabad. In this Shabad, Janke Hartan So Sach Shah. The person who has wealth of virtue, the person who has wealth of God's attributes, that is the true wealthy person, rich person, that is the person called banker, Shah. In India, Shah, old time money to people. That means that person is going to distribute the true wealth to the humanity. That wealth is God's love, compassion, mercy, and love. So in this Shabad, I would like if you can sing, recite with me, Bin Gobind na disa koi. I don't see none other than the Lord. you can realize, you can feel that everybody is sitting with you. God. This is the message of Holy Sri Guru Granth Sahib Ji. Vaheguru, 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 Vaheguru. Bin Gobind na disai ko, bin Gobind na disai koi, bin Gobind na disai koi. Karn karavan karta soy, karn karavan karta soy, bin Gobind na disai koi, bin Gobind na disai koi. Syo jaka man rata, ek syo jaka man rata, bisri Sri Desa Barai Tata, bin Gobind na disai koi, bin Gobind na disai koi. Karn karavan karta soy, karn karavan karta soy, bin Gobind na disai koi, bin Gobind na disai koi. Man kamawe mukh hari hari bole, man kamawe mukh hari hari bole, so jan ek rut kade na dole, so jan ek rut kade na dole, bin Gobind na disai koi. ਬਿਨ ਗੋਬਿੰਦ ਨਾ ਦਿਸੈ ਕੋਈ, ਬਿਨ ਗੋਬਿੰਦ ਨਾ ਦਿਸੈ ਕੋਈ, ਕਰਨ ਕਰਾਵਨ ਕਰਤਾ ਸੋਇ, ਕਰਨ ਕਰਾਵਨ ਕਰਤਾ ਸੋਇ, ਬਿਨ ਗੋਬਿੰਦ ਨਾ ਦਿਸੈ ਕੋਈ, ਬਿਨ ਗੋਬਿੰਦ ਨਾ ਦਿਸੈ ਕੋਈ। ਜੀਵਨ ਪੁਰਖ ਮਿਲਿਆ ਹਰਿ ਰਾਇਆ, ਜੀਵਨ ਪੁਰਖ ਮਿਲਿਆ ਹਰਿ ਰਾਇਆ, ਕਹੋ ਨਾਨਕ ਪਰਮ ਪਦ ਪਾਇਆ, ਕਹੋ ਨਾਨਕ ਪਰਮ ਪਦ ਪਾਇਆ, ਬਿਨ ਗੋਬਿੰਦ ਨਾ ਦਿਸੈ ਕੋਈ, ਬਿਨ ਗੋਬਿੰਦ ਨਾ ਦਿਸੈ ਕੋਈ, ਕਰਨ ਕਰਾਵਨ ਕਰਤਾ ਸੋਇ, ਕਰਨ ਕਰਾਵਨ ਕਰਤਾ ਸੋਇ, ਬਿਨ ਗੋਬਿੰਦ ਨਾ ਦਿਸੈ ਕੋਈ, ਬਿਨ ਗੋਬਿੰਦ ਨਾ ਦਿਸੈ ਕੋਈ। ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ 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 ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ, ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ 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 ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ, ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ, ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ, ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ 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 ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ, ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ 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 ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ, ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ, ਬਿਨ ਗੋਬਿੰਦ ਨਾ ਦਿਸੈ ਕੋਈ, ਬਿਨ ਗੋਬਿੰਦ ਨਾ ਦਿਸੈ ਕੋਈ, ਨਾ ਦਿਸੈ ਕੋਈ, ਨਾ ਦਿਸੈ ਕੋਈ। I would like everyone to sing, please. We're not going to play any instrument, just sing. big